By now, you probably are guessing that I'm the odd economist in Imagining America. And you're going to wonder why, and I'm going to convince you as to why Imagining America's tent is broad. This past Tuesday, I had the privilege of hosting at Lafayette College, where I teach, a top economist from the Office of the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, who had come to give a seminar on the IMF's new model for managing the new class of global economic and financial risk that the world economy is facing. The focus of the model is on mapping the interconnectedness of nations and people as they engage in global movements with goods and services of their finances, of their capital, of their labor. The foundational pillar of this model is the cultivation of a strengthened capacity of people to exercise agency in creating inclusive and broad-based democratic civic and economy locally and nationally. The model's underlying thesis: when people judge their living experience to be dignified, empowering, and socially valuable, they invest in sustaining, modernizing, and making malleable and resilient their communities and nations in the face of emergent challenges. The model, of course, you can figure, is based on using vector theory in mathematics to develop network analysis, which is then used to identify, map, and design policies to mitigate risk in the relationships between nodes, clusters, gateways in the global movements of products, capital, and labor. So by now you're asking, what does this have to do with tonight's honoring of Imagining America by Phi Beta Kappa? The short answer is everything. Why? To give the Lafayette audience context, the IMF economists called attention to Imagining America's ongoing pilot project between the cultural organization Apple Shop, based in Leitcher County, which is among America's sickest counties in terms of health and wealth, and Lafayette College's Economic Empowerment and Global Learning Project, which I have the privilege of leading. This project, which you now probably know, has been given a series of grants to become a national project, and I thank the IE President's Council for endorsing it. This project utilizes, This project utilizes the richness of the collaboration of publicly engaged scholarship to identify and map the cultural assets of Apple Shop, and then deploy network theory and analysis to map the nodes, clusters, gateways in the demands for Apple Shop products nationally and worldwide over the last 40 years. That's what my students did. And the analysis then turned out to show the themes in the demand for Apple Shop products globally and locally. So it showed that states adjacent to Kentucky and, those adjacent states, their demand over the last 40 years for Apple Shop products were in what Apple Shop calls a cultural preservation products. Pick and bow, the different chairs, the things that gave them dignity of place and feeling good about their culture, internal culture. The theme in the demand by institutions in the Northeast corridor of the United States for the cultural works of Apple Shop was over the shared concerns for human vulnerabilities. What happens with big industries and how big industries affect life. So Apple Shop cultural works in those areas defined the cluster of demands. The theme in the demand in the immigrant boroughs of London and New Zealand for Appalshop's work was for their cultural works that talked about democratic voice and agency, first voice. Armed with this information, Appalshop was able to strengthen its strategic investment plan and to bring its informed voice and knowledge of the characteristics of its market and social valuableness to its collaborative discourse with its city and county about constructing a new economy based on the cultural assets of the region. The poorest and sickest county can imagine itself creating a new economy. What's the core lesson of this pilot project, which has now been moved nationally? It is that publicly engaged scholarship by IA, publicly engaged scholarship by IA, is rooted in the centrality of arts, humanities, and design disciplines, and this, by interfacing with others, allow for the scientific processes of vector science and vector technology to engage in more meaningful exploration. In closing, the value point of IA's philosophy and paradigm is that it promotes synergies and synthesis between the cultural and creative humanities, civic science, social science, and the new field of data science. The distinctiveness of the public good of IA's contribution is therefore also its capacity to inform and catalyze the modernization of a societal civic. Congratulations, IA. This is fantastic stuff.